Hello everybody, welcome back to Dominions 5. We're continuing our playthrough as LA Man as part of round 1 of our tournament. And last time we had just scripted our big invasion of Kimchi. And I believe we should be heading into turn 55 now. Yes, that's correct. This is the correct turn. Okay. So this is the first turn where our attacks can go through. So let's take a quick look. Here we actually met a few... Oh, this is our major army. And we ran into a few mages. They might have been trying to reinforce the capital. So there isn't much here. So of course we are going to beat them. Now, at first when I saw this... Oh, sorry guys, I have my speakers on, so I don't want to get some feedback here. So, let me put my headphones on. There we go. You can see my mages are casting all sorts of weird spells. And that's because they didn't deem this force to be worthy of spending gems, even though the gems are actually free, because we have gem generator items on most of our mages. Anyways, we kill them, we take very few casualties. But I do notice a few problems. First of all, you'll notice that we're missing our death mages. We forgot to move Una, who's doing Wailing Winds, and we forgot to move our Lich, who's doing whatever it's called, Life After Death. So we'll remember to bring them onto Tianchi. Yeah, and we've fixed a few minor scripting issues. There are still a few issues that I think I discover later on, but that's life. Nothing's perfect. So I've adjusted a few things, but nothing too major. And yeah, we're moving on to Tianchi itself next turn. Now I've detached a small squad here to take out to this province. And that is to guarantee at least that I have a retreat path if things go horribly wrong on Tianchi itself. Now he might choose to patrol and fight me with his PD, or maybe he's going to wait to fight inside his city walls. So we have to be ready to fight him this turn. Yeah, that's happening here. On this front, well, let's take a look at this battle here quickly. This was just an attack with some heavy infantry, and there's just some PD here. So the Brave Ichthyds are going to run into my... Yeah, well, this kind of went as you'd expect. Over here, remember, we were anticipating that he might try to raid us with this heavy cav that he had right on our border, and we were right. But all it is a commander with a bunch of heavy cav. And we're ready. We're in formation. Can get a few shots off already. Some decays are hitting. And, of course, we're buffing up quite nicely. So he's got everybody kind of stacked more on the southern flank. And, although it looks like there's a scary sort of attack rear flank coming up here, we have guys in position. This is what these squads are for, right? We had them in the back on hold and attack closest. They're there to catch air elementals, but also hold and attack rear cavalry. And yeah, we kind of kill all those heavy cav. Now, the tricky thing with our evocations is that they can cause some friendly fire. I don't think we lost anybody this time. Let's see if we did lose anybody. This was in the Soaked Earth. Okay, we lost 2 defenders and 1 tower knight. Not bad for killing 40 barbarian heavy cav. Okay, that is pretty much it for the battles, I think. Yeah. Oh, well, we got patrolled out here. Our scout got killed. So we know that on the first turn of the war, he wasn't patrolling with everything. But that's normal. Maybe he could have expected some kind of magic phase, like mage attack, but I don't really have much in terms of thugs. So Anyways, it was a good idea for him to do this. So we're attacking onto his cap with mostly everything. We're going to take this province. Now, these guys here, they could have gone... I could have had this province being taken by this group, and then I could have detached a smaller group to go up north here. But what I wanted to do was combine these guys on the front line with a few reinforcing mages to give sort of a bit of meat to... a bit of mage support to this army, so that in case he moved out here, he could put up a pretty big chaff wall with a couple of mages behind it, and I didn't want to just have, one commander with a bunch of units to deal with that. I wanted to have a few buffs, so that's why we're combining this army, and then we're taking this army, which just beat his raiding force, and we're moving it up here, and I don't think he has anything, so this can't move this way because of the heat. Because the mountain pass. So we can't really reinforce here in any significant way. But there are some ancestor guides, and I actually technically don't know what's in Midgard, although I suspect it's empty because it looks like he's moving most of his stuff up this way. So this is pretty safe, and that's going to threaten Midgard. And then this army here is still just patrolling because, look, if he wants to go this way, he can sit on this fort for a while. I don't really care. It's got 500 wall integrity. And if he wants to go fight Patala a bit, look, no skin off my back. Patala can handle it. Although Patala's my ally, he's a big boy, and he can handle this. And if he just, whatever, I can come and kill it with this army. But I'm just ready to catch him if he comes at me this way. And that is pretty much it for this turn. What were we doing on research? Well, you can see our research now is down to under 1,000. Because all of our mages are off to war. But we're going to kind of slowly try to get Alteration 9. Are we forging anything interesting? We're forging the Crown of Despair, which is an item that... well, let me show it to you. It's a cheap artifact. And it just gives death gems. So it's just a gem generator. And it's cheap. That's why I'm crafting it now, because I'm a little low on gems. And it does a reanimation bonus, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to summon, maybe I do it next turn, I'm going to summon a Mound Fiend, and I'll put it on him, because it's cursed, so once you put it on somebody, you can't take it off, so I can put it on anybody just for the death gems, but I might as well put it on a guy who can actually use the ability to summon extra skeletons, so we're going to do that. Okay, that's for turn 55. Let's go to turn 56, which I gotta just kind of copy over here. There we go. Okay, let's look at these battles. Strongdale. This is sort of another raid with a little bit of extra mage support, but we're just fighting PD. Oh, but we did find a mage. He's got some random gems on him. So at the very least, this is gonna... Yeah, I guess it's some kind of a gem bait. It's a weird place to have a gem bait, but that is what it is. And I don't think these guys have any gem items, so... Okay, so they're out of gems. Okay, Kimchi. This is not the big epic battle, because he has not chosen to patrol outside. This is just his PD. But he does have a mage here. Got a mage somewhere, I think. Oh no, there's no gem bait here. It's just his PD outside. And you can see that they take 2 steps forward, and then crossbows happen, and then they all run away. Pretty unsurprising. So, nothing lost here. Okay, then Frosted Peaks. This is our army down here. Again, this looks like just PD, so it's just going to be, airy vacations, and then, yep, cleaned up. Okay, then there's a battle in Livenmark. So he has moved on top of my fort here with a nice little army of archers, heavy cav, and then he's got some mages in the back, which are doing a fair amount of skill spam. We just have PD. So that's fine. And then Patala runs a scout into that. And then Witchhaven here, this was my small detachment to take a province. A bunch of heavy infantry versus some PD. And there you go. Then we have an unexpected event here. We get Unrest, and then we get some 2 random events. So here we get Villains, which are Ronin, which are a little annoying. And they kill this PD because it's not enough PD. And then in Godstone Mountains, we get Barbarians. And we only have a little bit of PD. So that's annoying. We 1 turn popped his cap, which tells us a couple of things. First of all, he doesn't have a massive army in there. But, I mean, we have a sort of an epic siege strength here. We've got 599 siege strength in this army. So he had less than 99 in terms of siege defense. Now, this is due to sort of a ridiculous number of troops, but we've also got a few gate cleavers and things like that on top. And I actually don't have many of these regular magisters, but each one is contributing 15. So I'm pretty pleasantly surprised by that. We just 1 turn popped his cap. And so we're just going to storm inside the capital. This army here is going to move into here, and we're going to combine it with this force to combine this army together to make it a stronger force that could deal with any, that could then move on to the fort here later. That's probably what I'm going to do. Over here, I see sort of 1 remaining army that probably has a bit of mage support, so we're going to try to jump on it with this army. And then here, I'm going to move out with my main army, because now this is completely safe. This is not under threat at all. We're going to move down here, and then we have the option next turn of either threatening his major army on his east, or going on to Midgard itself. And then with our little raiding group here, we're going to move in from the north. We've dispatched some troops from the capital, this turn's recruits, to go take out these barbarians. And I brought a couple mages with an air gem each to do air elementals, because I don't want to lose any troops to stupid barbarians. And it looks like we've forgotten to deal with the soaked earth. So let's go ahead, and we're just going to load up the current turn, which has just rolled over, and we're just going to show the result of this battle at Kimchi. So let's do that. Tournament game 1. Okay. First of all, let's do the Tianchi battles first. So there was a battle at Tianchi, so he pokes out. And he pokes out with, I guess this is, it's not so much a poke out, but these would have been troops in neighboring provinces that he attacks onto. And I'm sure the idea here is just to cause enough to try to gem bait me. And this guy has a bunch of gems on him, and so that's what's going to happen. Unfortunately for him, I've actually built enough temporary gem items that I actually don't need to spend any gems for any major battles. I have enough temporary gems that I can do this indefinitely. There's a few exceptions. Astral for my anti-mage guy is on a limited supply. The extra nature gems for relief and mass protection, could run out, but they're not going to run out for 2 or 3 battles. Okay, so this is just sort of a teaser. Hilariously, we had one of our wardens here, who we had set on hold and attack largest to try to go kill the statue. Just does that, except he runs right into the mages, and they probably kill him with, I don't know what they kill him with. He just gets whacked by dudes surrounding him, because the problem is the rest of the buff script hasn't quite gone off yet, so he's a little weak still. So here you can see Guy, he's getting hit with all the rest, like Will of the Fates, importantly, which will give him lucky. The first guy didn't have that. Yeah, so these guys are fine. Then you see all my evocations, which again, very scary for this guy. Yeah, all these gifts from heaven. So it's very powerful when you're fighting a strong army, but when you're fighting a weak army, it can very easily do more damage to you than you do to the enemy. Now, we did lose 2 Magister's Arcane. That might have been to unlucky arrows. I'm actually not sure who we lost. Let's see if we can pinpoint that exactly. It's going to be hard. We have a lot of Magister's Arcane. Some arrows seem to have landed. Okay, Oswine and Aethelmund. Okay, Oswine and Aethelmund. I'm actually going to go back here. Oswine and Aethelmund. Oswine and Aethelmund. Let's take a look here. To see if they were people that were casting anything important. Aethelmund. And where's Oswine? So Aethelmund was just doing evocation, so we don't mind here. Okay, so we didn't lose. Oh, there's actually no. There's only one. Okay, good. Those weren't crucial to our success. All right, let's go back and we're going to skip right to the battle in the fortress. Okay, here we go. So this is what Kimchi has. There are a number of heavy cav in the back. He's summoned a couple, a little bit of chaff here. And then this is just a big blob of mages. Mostly it's his researchers, who are mostly water mages or water nature mages. And then he's got all his ancestor smiths. There are many varieties. There are earth, death, air varieties. And we have the Summon of Doubt, the Oracle, who has air, water 1 for some reason. Oh no, because the Oracle comes with water, I guess. Yeah, with a whole bunch of air gems. So let's take a look, and I'm slowing it down here. So first things first, he casts Storm right away, which is obviously a very good move, and what he should be doing. And this is an innate caster, so even though my mass flight is scheduled to go off on the first round, this will basically always go off. I think even if I put fast casting on my guy, this will always go off first. So no mass flight shenanigans for us. So I'm focusing on what's going on here because you've seen my script and you kind of know what's going to happen on my end. So we've got a mixture of Scala spam, and there's a bit of a communion being set up. And of course he's going to also summon his national sacred ghosty things. And we're seeing some storm power for the mages that have a bit of air. So here you see his ancestral spirits. That's what they're called. You can paralyze. with their bless, they have Twist Fate and Thunder weapons, so a little annoying to kill. Okay. Round 2, we're seeing a whole bunch of air elementals being cast or about to be cast. You can see them fly off. And there's already quite impressive amount of undead chaff being summoned. Now, he has cast Wailing Winds on this guy. Ling Bao Tianzong is already busy scaring away our army. And more air elementals, more undead chaff. Now, we're on round 3 as the as my gifts from heaven are finally landing. We've had a few rounds of crossbow bolts hit. But as by the way, his statue has been doing living air, which is the just mass summoning of air elementals. But importantly, we're not seeing like not shimmering fields, but wrathful skies or anything like that. So we didn't see any of the scarier stuff from this oracle. And honestly, that's pretty much it. The gems are spent here. I'm not seeing anything else that's going to come out. I mean, obviously, he's going to continue to spam these spells, which are good. Frozen Heart is a good Water 1 spell, Skella spam, and things like that. But that's pretty much it. That was like the opening script for Tianqi's army. Now, let's go... Well, let's take a quick look, first of all. Just by hitting F1, we can see that in total, he summoned like a whole page of air elementals. But a lot of these are not the big size 5 elementals. A lot of them are the ones from Living Clouds, from this guy. So it's a big amount of air elementals, but, it could be worse. Now, I was chatting briefly with General Confusion here, and he feels that he didn't put out enough air element. Like, he thought that he'd scripted more elementals to come out, and he thinks that some of his guys died early who are supposed to summon air elementals. But actually, if you look at it, only one Ancestor Smith has died so far from a gift from heaven. Now, a couple of them have taken a few hit points of damage, so it's possible they got interrupted, but they still have... But there are no more air gems left on any of these units. Yeah, he had Twist Fate, so he got hit by crossbows, but it didn't do anything. So all these guys here, like I've just clicked on all of these, and none of them have any air gems left. So even if they got interrupted, they didn't use their air gems to cast anything else that I saw. So he only lost one Ancestor Smith. Now he lost a couple of what's this here? Oh, these are my guys. Because he's got Masters of the Way here. No, these are mine. Here, he's lost 3 Masters of the Way. 4. It's possible they were going to summon like some small air elementals, but not much. So actually, I do think... I mean, I'm not sure. I'll have to look at his version of events here. But it seems to me like he did get all the air elementals that he was able or ready to cast here. Okay, we're gonna quit and we're gonna look at the other side here. And we're gonna look at what it looks like over here as all the air elementals land. So here are the first air elementals. So you can see we've got our squads of hold and attack closest all over the place. These flagellants are actually sacred, and so they get my bless, which includes magic weapons. So any air elemental that lands here just gets murdered by flagellants, just gets deleted. And honestly, like even though there's a ton of air elementals that get summoned, all of these elementals that decide to go to the back, like they're just landing right next to wardens. And these guys do not care. They've got magic weapons. They've got pretty high attack scores. All their elementals back here have been taken care of. If we just pause right now and look at, troops lost. If we scroll through the list here, we're killing all the air elementals. You see a lot of them are down to their tiny forms here. And in terms of my troops, if you look at the defenders, almost no casualties. If we look at my mages, no casualties. My knights, no casualties. My wardens, no casualties. So we have pretty much defended successfully against sort of mass air elemental spam. Now, it's not over yet, right? And what's happening is a lot of the air elementals are basically on the front line. So we are going to take casualties here, but this is going to be mixed in with just the fighting on the front line. But, the main scary part of air elementals, which is them just wrecking all your mages and wrecking your back line, has really been dealt with. And honestly, even here on the front line, they're doing some trampling, but with mass regen and all the other buffs we have, I don't feel they're doing too much. Now, there is one major problem here, and that is that, so we both have Wailing Winds up, but his Wailing Winds has already caused a ton of my mages to just run away. And this is something that I think I should have anticipated and done a better job at preventing. Because although my communion slaves are stuck, because they're in a communion, I'm expecting, I know that this is going to be a big choke point here, and sure, I have good troops, but I'm expecting that the way I'm going to chew through all of this is with like 20 communion masters just spamming evocations. And now those 20 communion masters have all run off because of Wailing Winds. So that is not a good sign. And what I should have done is, for the last few turns, I should have been pumping out Fire Hats, which give +5 morale, which it doesn't make you immune to Wailing Winds, but it certainly would have helped a lot. Because I've got, I've got a bonus morale from Fanaticism, but I should also have an extra 4 morale from the hat. So that is sort of I think, a big mistake on my part, knowing, normally it's sort of not realistic to make 40 of those items, right, for all of your mages for a human nation, but because we have such good construction bonuses in that province, and a good amount of fire gems, that would have been totally doable, and so that is a mistake on my part. Okay, so this is roughly where we were last time. So that is a problem. But fortunately, my troops have pretty high morale, and so far they're still motivated to fight. The same cannot be said, though, for the Ancestor Smith, who actually cast Rigor Mortis on their side. He has decided to run because of my Wailing Winds. Because of my Wailing Winds, he has decided to run. So in a matter of moments, their Wailing Winds will stop taking effect. So whoever's brave enough to not rout by then, which is roughly now, there should be no new routing units off the field. But as you can see, a ton of mages. A few soldiers too, but we have plenty of soldiers. It's the mages who are supposed to do all the evocations to kill all this stuff that I'm worried about. Okay, some other important things to notice is that for some reason, he has not cast Arrowfend. In fact, if I look at what he has cast, if I just look at one of his units here, that would be a better way to evaluate that. I am not seeing any battlefield buffs here. At all. But importantly, Arrowfend isn't there. So he was very vulnerable to, opening salvos of crossbow fires. Now, he does have Storm, which, helps a lot to mitigate archery fire, just because it deletes a lot of the projectiles and reduces the precision by a lot. But that is... If he had Arrow Fend, he definitely should have cast it. Okay, and now we get to watch the grind here. So on the front line, we have these Ancestral Spirits who have Twist Fate, so they're ethereal. So they're a bit of a pain to kill, because they're ethereal, they have Twist Fate, so you have to like hit them many, many times before you finally delete them. My Sacreds, of course, can kill them much faster, but that's only if my Sacred's on the front line, and I don't have that many Sacreds. Mostly I've got Knights and Defenders. And they're only size 1, so they stack like 6 per square, so it takes forever to chew through this. And I think Tianqi's hope is that as my conventional troops are stuck forever fighting these ghosts that won't die, that his evocating mages and archers are going to deal damage to me. Unfortunately, these guys are very tough. And one thing I've noticed here is that my mass protection hasn't gone off, which is weird. Actually, I want to look at this again, because why didn't mass protection go off? So mass regen would be the first one. Oh, why did he use an extra gem? Is he not on conserve magic gem usage? That might be it. So because the next spell is relief, and then he was out of gems to cast mass protection. Oh, that's unfortunate. Okay, let me just fast forward. Back to the present, or at least we were on round 6 or something. Yeah. Yeah. Now, one thing. Actually, well, sorry. I want to keep. I'm always restarting from the beginning, but it's important to focus on what's happening in different areas of the battlefield here. So he's trying to cause damage with composite bows, but that's going to do absolutely nothing because we have Arrow Fend up and tower shields. Let's look at his Mage Core. I'm gonna fast forward this a little bit. Let's see what happens here. Okay, and I was up to round 6 roughly. Okay, so if we look at his Mage Core, there's certainly a number that are running away. All of these guys. But most of these are still in the fight. Now, how many have we killed? This is round 6. Let's just see how many we have killed so far. Still only one more Ancestor Smith has died. What about his Masters of the Way? There's a handful of these that have died. Okay, he still has decent numbers. Now, those guys are doing, maybe the worst they're doing is Frozen Heart, or Cold Bolt or something like that. I'm seeing Blade Wind. Blade Wind's going to do nothing against these high protection units. Yeah, Tianqi just doesn't have the ranged killiness he needs to back up this kind of super tanky ghost front line. On the flip side, I've lost all of my killiness because all of my mages that were Communion Masters have run away. So it really turns into like a slog fest here. Now I do have, I am casting a lot of Wind of Memories, which is what my Wardens have decided to do, like these guys, because they're holy too. So they're just spamming their banishment, and that is what eventually is killing all of these ghosts and skeletons. The precision is terrible because we have Storm up. So even with Wind Guide, The precision is pretty bad. So we have finally made it through the wave of little ghosts, and now we just got to chew through kind of regular units and skeletons, which in theory could be a big issue. Like, you know, skele spam can hold off against conventional troops for a very long time. Now, there's a couple reasons why it might not. One reason is, first of all, his skele spammers are not in a communion or anything, so they're kind of just fatiguing out. A lot of them are all running away because I still have my Wailing Winds up. So the amount of new skeletons is dwindling. And then we got to remember that these guys are really killy, because most of them, although apparently not this guy, but a lot of them have weapons of sharpness, which means these 3 attacks are all armor piercing. Well, 2 attacks once the charge breaks. Then we got wardens in front with their magic weapons. So my guys are relatively killy. So I'm feeling pretty good about this as we force our way through the doors here. You can see Will of the Fates doing great work here, protecting us against Gifts from Heaven. There's another little squad of ghosts that makes it to the front line, so that's going to slow things down yet again. As we enter round 20. You know, Wailing Winds is still up for me, so his guys are still running. Most of my mages ran at the beginning, so we've got a few guys left. The Lich is still there in the back doing work. We've got 1 or 2 casters, 1 or 2 evokers still doing work. But most of my mages have also run away. Okay, finally we break through. Now, you could worry about this statue because it has a lot of protection, but because it hasn't been fluffed or anything, it just has, and even if it were, it's already natural protection, so it doesn't have like earth paths or anything like that. So its protection is 25, which is high, but it's not super high. And so it shouldn't be too hard to kill. Also, it has 43 hit points. I guess it's already been hit by something. Maybe a gift from heaven. Alright, 1 warden attacking the enemy back line. What did he get hit with? I don't know. Paralyzed or something. Oh! Now that the melee is over, all these guys are like, well, I guess I can shoot my crossbows. You know, I think that's actually an interesting... So that's an interesting part of scripting units that are told to attack who have ranged weapons, is once the first engagement is done and they have to acquire a new target, if that target is at range, they will fire at the target instead of attacking, which I think is fine. But what I'm wondering is why initially we were all just waiting back here, waiting to fight these guys in melee and not shooting our crossbows, right? I feel like that would be a better interpretation of that rule. Anyways, we take out the statue, which takes off Storm, which means all our flying units can finally fly, and we just delete the last few Tianchi troops. And that is that. So we lost 1 warden. We lost... None of our mages actually died. They just retreated. We lost a few knights, a few sacreds, a few defenders, really light casualties. And, of course, we killed everything. Now, the key thing here is the retreat details. And because we won the fight, all of these guys who ran off the battlefield just retreat into the fortress. And so, thankfully, we basically... lose nobody in that siege, all of those mages. Now, it could have been... So, a killer move from Tianqi's part would have been if he was able to recapture on this turn all of these provinces around Tianqi, and, of course, win the actual fight in Tianqi. Then, you can... When you cause a rout with Wailing Winds, Even though Wailing Winds doesn't actually kill the units, it can end up effectively killing them if they try to retreat into enemy territory. So a great victory for us. Let's look at the other battles that we had in Lupia. Okay, just PD. I'm just going to click on them here. In Wick, oh, this one was actually a battle. This is our army that was coming, that had been patrolling our fort. And we've intercepted part of his army in the east here. And you're about to see how these wardens with the bows of war are going to be pretty devastating on this front line. Already a lot of these are decayed. But yeah, this we're just erasing these units. And then the crossbows target the rear. Let's speed this up. And that's it. We might take a few casualties from friendly fire. We lost 1 warden, 8 defenders, and 3 knights to kill this army. Right, nothing here. We killed the barbarians. These rude barbarians. Yeah, I summoned these air elementals just to soften the blow. Probably a good call. Okay, scout ping here. Nothing really here. Nothing here. Nothing here. Ping on Atlantis. And that is it. Oh, we got a new famous hero. Oh, the Prophet became a hero. Dude with a tude. Strength. Okay. We got a very strong old man who's our Prophet. The dude with a tude is very strong. Okay, and that's it. I haven't done this turn yet, and the episode's been going on long enough, so I'm not going to do the turn in front of you, but we have basically just won the war against Kimchi. What I'm probably going to do is, I think we're going to go and chase this army away. So we're going to take this big army and move it east here and try to go engage over here. I think because we know that now he's completely depleted. Like, there's only this army, there's nothing in here. So we're going to go siege, I think, Midgard with this army. We're going to take this army and siege here. And then we're going to break this army up and raid and take all this stuff. And then the main army here, I think, is going to move off to the west and try to take these castles. The truth is, we're just waiting for Patala now to take the Atlantean throne here. And so we might even, I'll see, I might even end my nap with Atlantis just to speed things up. Yeah, that's basically it. So this is a bit of a, it's a weird end to a Dominions game because the truth is, like, I feel, and GC kind of confirmed this, but he was far behind because he took way more losses fighting Midgard than I did fighting Cetis. So, we had the war on turn 57. But the reason I was able to overpower him is because I took far fewer losses in our first war. So this wasn't really close, but it's not because he didn't play well the war against me. It's because I was stronger than him when the war started, right? Now, normally this is not what I'd be doing. I should be fighting Patala, who's the strongest, right? Because I need to win the game. But in this case, second is fine. So yes, I have this big, strong army, and unfortunately, we're not really going to see me go up against whatever Patala has as his big, strong army. So it's this is going to end up being a victory, or a second place victory. Yeah, it's just a bit unusual, right? There isn't that big climactic. We're not fighting against the two major superpowers aren't fighting each other. But we'll see how the next few turns unfold. I'll try to get as much scouting done here to see the last few battles here from Patala against Atlantis. And that'll be that for now. Thanks for watching. Take care.